This past Tuesday in the United States Senate, the Respect for Marriage Act was passed. It looks like it's going to go over to the House and be signed into law. You think this is a great thing for the Republican Party? What's your case?
So we saw, as we anticipated here, we did not think that Dobbs was going to move many votes in the midterms, and we were wrong to an extent, right? The primary motivating factor was still inflation and in some areas like New York, crime, but Dobbs did move a lot of crucial swing votes. So unlike the abortion issue, where the pro-life portion of the country really hasn't changed, we've always been in somewhat of a deadlock, really 1/3 adamantly pro-life, 1/3 adamantly pro-choice, and a malleable third that is maybe open to something like the DeSantis 15-week ban, but doesn't want to have a 6-week ban. The malleable vote. Gay marriage is very different. Gay marriage, a majority of Republican voters, 55% support legal marriage equality. And just to show the difference, when DOMA was passed in 96, both Biden and Chuck Schumer voted in support of the Defense of Marriage Act. This time around, for the Respect for Marriage Act, you have 12 Republicans supporting it. So this is really just the legislator being late to the game in terms of what Republican voters really want. And here's why. As Clarence Thomas correctly put in his concurrence, Obergefell was not a very sound ruling, even if someone like me who supports marriage equality appreciates the outcome. And voters now know that these things are on the chopping block. And so even if it's not that gay marriage is going to be overturned by the courts, passing this to the legislature, whose job it is to actually make the rules, that works. This makes it it's no longer an electoral landmine where if a case does get questioned in the courts, that will motivate a lot of the suburban women who are that's that real swing demographic there, right? You no longer have this as a landmine. It is something that is codified, it is done, and the way the bill was written, there was a reason why it had bipartisan support. It is not overstretching its mandate.
Sure, I guess I would just disagree. I don't think in any way that gay marriage is on the chopping block, as you say. So, of course, you had litigation on the abortion front for years, but that's because Casey was such a wishy-washy case. It was a multi-pronged test. So states were constantly changing laws, fixing laws to test where the court's boundaries were. Now, gay marriage is something very different. It's a binary thing. It's either legal or not. So no state is getting creative in testing the bounds of, can we maybe criminalize gay marriage in this way. That's just not happening. So there was no way that litigation on the gay marriage front would have come up. So I don't think it was in any danger of being overturned by courts. On the other hand, look, I do think, like you said, a lot of Republicans do support same-sex marriage now, but there still is a large part of the base that is against it. And so taking this vote so soon after an election does feel like an insult to them. And so I think it could demotivate them going into a new year. So I don't think it's the end of the world. I mean, obviously, marriage has been declining for years and was declining for decades before gay marriage became realized. So I don't think gay marriage is to blame for the decline of marriage, but it hasn't exactly helped either.
Yeah, I mean, in my book, here's how I'll put it. One, if I'm Ron DeSantis, or for that matter, Mike Pompeo, or one of these guys who's looking to run for president, I am thanking my lucky stars that I could just say, the issue is settled. There's nothing we can do about it, right? It takes something that's very politically contentious, and they can just have an excuse to, the evangelical base and just say, we can't do anything, sorry, it's done. But then secondarily, I would so much rather have your gay marriage than the countless straight divorces I know that have ruined the lives of my friends around me.